Now we're going to move on to the three minor related modes. We're going to have an Aeolian, the Dorian, can you hear the difference, and the Phrygian. Each of them have got a unique sound, a unique tonality to it. The reason why we're starting them all on A, twofold. First of all, to compare, we need to start at the same place. If we want to see how far something is away, you have to make it related to the same starting place. And secondly, A, because if we look at the C major scale, which has the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, the Aeolian, more specifically the A Aeolian, which is the A natural minor, has these notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Now, because both those scales contain the same notes, we say they're related. So A minor is the relative minor of C major. Similarly, C major is the relative major of A minor. Let's start with the Aeolian, which is going to look and sound like this. Let's make sure you know the scale. We're keeping it over 1 octave just for convenience. Obviously, you could go 2 octaves, but that we'll show you in different videos. Because let's face it, if we're talking modes, this video can go on for 3 hours and we still haven't covered everything. All I want is to get from this short studies is to know that we get 3 majors because they can build a major arpeggio. And we're going to get 3 minors because they can build a minor arpeggio. Okay, and we're going to relate them to scales and chords. Okay. Your A Aeolian being the natural minor, because we get harmonic minors, and we also get melodic minors, all of different sounds. But back to the Aeolian. We can build an A minor arpeggio, which will sound like this. Okay, which will give you an A minor chord, or you can play A minor here. I just played it up here because it was easier and more closer to the scale. Okay, now we can also take a bit further to the minor 7th arpeggio and do this. So if you want to build riffs and you want to sort of create melodies or single note phrases, it's good to know your arpeggios, because if I know my chord is going A minor, and that over there, for example, was an A minor 7th arpeggio. Play it a different way. So you can use your arpeggios to actually build your own phrases, which is very, very useful. Okay, we now have learned that A minor, Aeolian. Let's just build a A minor chord, and there's a very easy way to play an A minor 7. If you're playing the conventional variations, A minor, and you simply lose the to go to A minor 7, and you can actually bring the pinky, that's another A minor 7th over there as well. So there's some nice variations. Because we're in the key of C, we just explained that A minor is related to C. You can expect to see, for example, the chords A minor to G, F, and C. And you can add a bit of a fall there from that Aeolian scale like we did. So if you can know and identify your scale to the key, what chords are built from that chord and key, you can also know what other chords will work with it. So what I'm saying is that if I know my A Aeolian is in the key of C, I also know that I can use the chords A minor, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and there is a B diminished as well. But it doesn't normally work that well for rock. And like we said, we're keeping this study short. We want to know majors and minors. Okay. The next mode we're going to look at is the Dorian, and we're going to compare the Dorian, starting at A, to the Aeolian. Let's play the scale through. Okay, there's the note that's changing hand. So the Aeolian goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now this one's going to go the Dorian 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Okay, so there's a difference. Now, if you go into your theory, the A Herlian has got what they call a flattened third, sixth, and seventh with respect to the major scales. So if I go A major, and I compare the third note, 1, 2, 3, to the third note of the minor, I've got a flattened third. If I go to the A major and count up 6 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I go to the natural minor starting in A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got a flattened sixth. So now I've got a flattened third and a flattened sixth. And also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh note of A major is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a flattened seventh in the A Herlian. So A Herlian has a flat 3, a flat 6, and a flat 7. The Dorian only has a flattened third and a flattened 7th, because the 6th note is the same as the major. Okay, so the Dorian's flattened third and flattened 6th, which actually means it's not in the key of C anymore, it's in a different key. A Dorian is actually in the key of G. It's the second mode because it goes major up to Dorian being the second, so G I Hernian to A Dorian. You can hear they contain the same notes, and that means we've got different chords we can play with. So I can, for example, if I'm playing A Dorian, that's the arpeggio, I can use chords like A minor to B minor, C, and D, for example, which gives me a bit of a different sound. Now, just quickly comparing those arpeggios, we almost forgot about that. We can't do that. That's the whole lesson. We can A Dorian, building from A, fret 5. Here's your minor arpeggio again. And there's your A minor 7 coming up. So those arpeggios are the same for the Dorian as they are for the A Herlian as well. But the other notes now that have changed from the A Herlian, from the Dorian, that means we've changed key. So we can expect to hear chords like A minor to B minor, because all these chords are in the key of G. And that was part of the Dorian position as well that we just threw in at the end. Okay, now the next mode we're going to look at, minor mode, is the Phrygian, which gives us a cool flattened fifth. It's a very unusual for a scale to start off like this, but it's really nice for some, if you want to create tension. Sounds like there's a big shark behind your hand. Okay, your Phrygian's going to sound like this. And we say it's got a flattened second. Now the second note is also the same as a ninth. So if you're playing a chord with a flattened ninth, we can also think, hey, Phrygian scale, because 9 is the same as second. Let's prove that. 1, 2, okay, flattened 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Octave, there we go. Okay, let's quickly look at the arpeggios for the A Phrygian, and we'll see if we can build an A minor arpeggio and an A minor 7th arpeggio. Let's have a look at the notes. So that's cool. That's cool. And there's your flattened 7th and the octave. So yes, A minor and A minor 7 are also present in the Phrygian mode. It's as you get to your bigger chords like your 11ths, your 13ths, maybe some 9ths, that your modes get more dedicated, or we can also look at altered scales from your melodic and harmonic minor scales, but that's a study for another day. Our most important lesson over here today is that we get 3 minor related modes. Each of those modes has got its own unique key. For example, A Herlian has got the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, which ties back to the key of C. The Dorian has got the notes A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, which ties back to the key of G. And lastly, the Phrygian has got A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, which ties into the key of F. So each of those modes, if started on A, would give you 3 different keys. Now, if you know your circle of fifths, which we'll also study on a separate video, otherwise, like we said, this video could go on forever, you'll learn about 1, 4, and 5, which means if you've got a circle of 5, so that's your circle. If you go 1 to your left or 1 to your right, if C is your top point, it's got no sharps and flats like we just did. C Ionian and A Ionian, no sharps and flats. If I go 1 to the one side, I can go to the key of G, 1 sharp. If I go 1 to the other side, excuse the hand direction, okay, it will give you the key of F, which has got the B flat note in. And that's what's actually happening here. If you go back to the Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian, you had the keys C, F, G. And if you go into minors and you think Ionian as your minor, I can also kick it back to their related, which also ties in with C, F, and G. And if I decided to treat those minors as a minor key, the relative minor to C is A minor, the relative minor to F is D minor, and the relative minor to G is E minor. Which means if I go A minor, D minor, E minor as keys, not chords for a second, it's also 1, 4, 5, because if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ties back in again. So the mathematics behind music is really quite impressive, really quite awesome. I believe that the names like Mixolydians and Phrygians are actually Greek descent, and I've heard stories that tie to Pythagoras. So before we go all mathematic on you, what we've learned now, 3 major modes, 3 minor modes, they all tie into a relative relationship to each other, and we learned your arpeggios. Get to know them, the call for riffs, get to know your minor sevenths, get to know your major sevenths, get to know your dominant sevenths. They're really very, very nice, especially if you play a bit of bass as well and you want to create sort of phrases. But as for that, have an awesome day. If you want more progressions in the different keys, that's another study, another video. We'll get around to that. Have a wonderful day and play loud.